Let us all rise for the national anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Please be seated. Thank you. Our host for our program this afternoon is NAMFREL National Council member, Attorney Salma T. Rasul. Good afternoon po, ma'am.
Good afternoon, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Greetings of peace. We gather here to mark the 40th anniversary of NAMFREL. It has been a long 40 years and itim pa ho yung buhok ko nun. Ngayon graying na and I see a sea of gray. Hopefully, under the chairmanship of Lito, we'll have the younger generation more actively involved in NAMFREL. Without further ado, I'd like to call the tech guru of NAMFREL, Chair Lito Abelia, to give opening remarks.
Teka muna. Magandang hapon o magandang gabi. It's early evening na. Ano pa bang sasabihin ko? Nirepaso na ni Bishop Dimok halos lahat. Ano yung history ng NAMFREL. But it was a good refresher. At least to many of you, lalo na yung mga nauna. No? Ako noon, I was always in the background. Helping si Mr. Lagman setting up the systems for the quick count. Kung naalala niyo yung quick count, no?
Always in the background.
So, let me just go through my notes
for the quick count. Kung naalala niyo yung quick count, no? So, let me just go through my notes for the quick count. Kung naalala niyo yung quick count.
Sinasabi nila IT guru, sabi ni Attorney Salma. Hindi lang ako yung pati si JR. Nasaan na ba si JR?
Kung naalala niyo yung quick count. Sinasabi
Ayan,
nila IT
cameraman siya ngayon.
Attorney Salma. Hindi lang ako
And
yung
we'd
pati
like
si
to
JR,
thank you,
nasaan na ba si JR?
thank very much nga yung grupo ni JR.
Sinasabi nila
Cameraman
siya ngayon.
Ating umpisahan sa ating
And we'd
mga
like to thank you,
salutations.
thank very much nga yung grupo ni
So to
JR.
Attorney Christian Monsod,
Cameraman siya ngayon.
former COMELEC chairperson din.
And we'd like to salutations. Thank very much.
Si Miss Cora de la Paz
Attorney Christian
and
Monsod,
Mr. Augusto Lagman.
COMELEC
These were our
chairperson din.
former
We'd like
chairpersons.
salutations.
No?
Thank
And
very
to
much.
the
Si
former
Miss Cora de la Paz,
Secretary General, Mr.
Augusto
Damaso,
Lagman.
Dami Magbuwal.
These were our former chairperson.
You were not? Or you deny?
The former Secretary General.
For 67 days.
Dami Magbuwal.
Ganun na rin yun. No?
Former
Sayang,
You're
hindi si Mr. Luz
Or you
cannot join
deny?
us.
Former
We also
for
had our
67
former
days. Ganun na rin yun.
executive directors.
Sayang,
no?
hindi si
As-
Mr.
lalo
Luz
na si
cannot join
Mr.
us.
Telibert Laok.
We also had our former
And then to
executive
the
director.
various national council members, regional directors, and chapter chairpersons.
And then executive
Mrs.
director.
Winnie Monsod,
National council
Bishop,
members.
nandito na ba si Bishop Tobias?
And chapter
He said that
chairpersons.
he's going to catch us. And then, of course, si Bishop Dimok, our mass celebrant. Mr. Danilo Pilar, Mr. Roger Garma, Mr. Michael Mundo, and Mr. Don Rapadas. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. But then again, okay. So just to get this going,
Missed anybody? Then again, okay.
and to all our co-volunteers and friends, magandang hapon ulit.
Then again, okay. And
Allow me to welcome you all to this celebration of the 40 years of NAMFREL. NAMFREL was actually born here.
allow me
It
to
started
welcome you all to this
operations, the first
celebration
operations
of the
here.
40
Others,
years
Bill.
of NAMFREL. NAMFREL was
Thank you,
actually
Bill,
born
for making
here.
it.
Allow me to welcome you all to operations, the first operations. 40 Others, Bill.
Okay. So today
NAMFREL was-
also
thank you,
we
Bill, for
launched
making it.
our 40th year, in our 40th year, with the theme of
Others, Bill.
empowering
So
democracy,
today also we launched our 40th year in our 40th
celebrating
year
40
with the
years.
theme of
citizens'
empowering
engagement.
democracy. Also, we launched
We
our
are
40th year in
planning
our
a series of
celebrating 40
activities,
years
including a
theme
series of
citizens'
lectures,
engagement.
which
Also,
we are
launched,
scheduling
we
for the first
are,
quarter of
planning a
next year.
series
The
of
other
40
activities
years
we will
in a
let you
series
know
of
in due
adventures,
course. No?
which we
So
are
40 years is
scheduling for the first quarter.
it's a long time.
The
No?
other activities
It's a very long time.
let
It's
you know in due
very
course.
storied.
Which
No? A
we-
lot
the
of
40 years
challenges
is,
that face
the
NAMFREL.
first quarter. It's a long time. Very
Sayang
long
wala
time
na rin
that
yung
you
ating
know,
guests from the
very
Commission on
storied,
Elections.
which a lot
We
of
earlier
challenges
had
face NAMFREL. It's a long
Chairman
time.
Garcia, Commissioner
Sayang wala
Maceda,
na rin
and
yung ating
Commissioner
guests
Bulay.
from the Commission on Elections. We earlier had Chairman Garcia,
So we
Commissioner Maceda,
face a lot of
Commissioner
challenges to
Bulay.
democracy,
Elections.
such as
We
the
earlier
increasing
had,
polarization,
Chairman
not
Garcia,
only here
which
locally but
we
globally.
face a lot of
There's
challenges to
been a
democracy,
democratic backsliding
such
or
as
the
the
process
increasing
of regime
polarization.
change towards
Not only
autocracy.
but globally. Face a lot of
Right.
challenges. There's been a
Or
democratic
the process
backsliding,
of
process
regime
of
change
regime change
towards autocracy that makes the exercise
Right.
of political power more arbitrary and repressive, and restricts the space for public contestation and political participation in the process of government selection. That is a big challenge which plagues many democracies worldwide. No? And we saw it also here in the immediately previous administration, and parts of it in the current administration. No? So we're faced with this challenge, and with this challenge again, I go back to NAMFREL's vision of free, fair, clean, and honest elections, right? And the second part of that vision is the selection of the right leaders. No? We have to exercise voting, and we have to educate or maybe train our voters how to select our leaders. No? So there's been a lot of projects that we've done in the last year, actually. So we joined a project called Participate, where the goal is again to promote democratic processes. And among the activities that we went into is conducting training programs that focuses in the last year, that focuses more on the second half of the name of NAMFREL. Who knows the full name, our registered name? Who knows the SEC registered name of NAMFREL? It's NAMFREL Bantay ng Bayan Foundation. Sadly, nakafocus lang ang bayan sa NAMFREL. And there's been talk every time, no? The public says, bakit pasulput-sulput lang ang NAMFREL? During elections lang. So this time we're focusing on the second half of the name, Bantay ng Bayan. And what we did was to start with a training program, Maging Bantay ng Bayan, which We delivered first at Novotel about 6 months back. We repeated the training program in Baguio about 2 months ago. No? We also have a version for the youth because we're encouraging the youth to be more participative, to become participative. We're promoting inclusivity in our elections as well. So these are among the programs that we're doing. We're also organizing the youth. I'd like to create the NAMFREL youth. Start them young, as we say. Okay? So these are some of the programs that we're looking at. We've done so much in the past, but we're doing more in the future to build up, really, our work in democracy. We are promoting citizen participation and inclusivity as well. We also have a project in Barn. Okay, so we're still putting together what the contents of the project, but it will focus more also again in enabling the citizens, no, to participate and become more, to include themselves in the processes. Yung sa Bantay ng Bayan, yung isang project, for example, is, well, still a dream project for me, is monitoring the performance of our local government officials, no, all the way down to the barangay. No? And hopefully, at the end of their term, we can come up with a scorecard so that the citizens will have a basis to make their decisions. They will have a basis for their choice. These are some of the challenges that we are facing in the next few years, and maybe longer. I hope maybe will last another 40 years. Okay? So, yun po yung summary. I will let our stalwarts, no, our speakers, to go through the past of the elections. What I just told you is moving forward. So may mga istorya pa. So muli, let me welcome everybody joining us in this celebration. Maraming salamat po.
That was short and sweet. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of some of the stalwarts of NAMFREL. Former Secretary General Mr. Guillermo Luz, kasi sinabi ni Lito, wala ka pa daw kanina eh. Our former Executive Directors, Gregorio Atienza, Delibert Laoc, and Virgilio Hernandez. Former National Council members, my favorite economic professor, Professor Willie Monson. Hindi niya babawiin ang grade ko. Bishop Antonio Tobias, Bishop Valentin Dimoc, Mr. Danilo Pilar, Mr. Jose Chuponco, Mr. Roger Garma, Mr. Michael Mundo, Mr. Don Rapadas, and Mrs. Patricia Sison. Now for a short and welcome break, we'd like to call on, for a musical number, the Thessalonian Singing Ambassadors. If you're ready, please.
lakas, iyong pagtaglay sa paghihintay. Baka
pasensya na po kung late po kami nakarating. Na traffic po kami sa EDSA. Kami po ay mula sa Kamanava. Ako po ay anak ni Mark de los Reyes, ang chairperson po ng Navotas, at ni Miss Ricamor de los Reyes po, chairperson ng Malabon. So, alam ko po na ang NAMFREL paging volunteer ay hindi po maging madali lang, lalo na po sa mga nayon, sa mga probinsya. Andyan po yung hirap, nandyan po yung pagod. Pero sa kabila ng hirap at pagod po na yon, ay makikita po natin ang pagiging NAMFREL volunteer kahit sa papano, lalo na sa mga provincial area. May makikita ka na something na ang sarap pala dito, yung feeling na fulfilling, nakakapag-serve ka sa bayan mo. Hindi po ba? So sana po ang last song po namin ay magustuhan po ninyo.
salamat. It was worth the wait, kahit na traffic kayo. We'll have four incredible stalwarts of NAMFREL who have helped make NAMFREL what it is today. So, seniority rules, di ba? So, may I call on the most senior among them to share a special message to all of us, Mr. Jose Chuponco.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ako po ay si Piping o Jose Chuponco. Naging East Sector ng NAMFREL, somewhere in Tagaig and other parts of areas na malapit sa Tagaig. Ang pagkakasama ko po sa NAMFREL ay hindi ko po inaasahan, kundi nung endorse ako ng simbahan ng Tagaig. Santa Ana, Tagaig. In-endorse ako ng simbahan. Ito hindi ko namang tinanggihan ang kagustuhan sapagkat naniniwala ako na ang NAMFREL ay isang organization na ang hangarin ay sa kabutihan ng ating bayan. So, I became the chairman ng NAMFREL at sa hindi ko inaasahan ay napakarami palang gawain na dapat gampanan ng isang chairman ng NAMFREL. Hindi lamang sa isang lugar. Halos lahat ng...
Amo ni boss ni Lola Mami Chingo. Boss, si Jose Concepcion, Kagiyasang RFM Corporation.
Parang sa tunga, oh? Parang sa tunga?
Ang hambalo. Di na ang inog marinate mo. May marinate mo kagabi kaya para lutoon kay Gina.
Malaking bahagi ng ating buhay nawala sa negosyo, nabawasan sa pamilya, at napunta sa NAMFREL. Ginampanan ko po yun. Kahit na alam kong medyo kabawasan sa pagmamahal sa pamilya. Nung ako po ay naging chairman ng NAMFREL, ay marami namang nakatulong sa akin. Katulad ng Pepsi Cola, katulad ng McDonald's, katulad ng na tinulungan akong mabigyan ng mga miski man lamang soft drinks, may bahagi ng aking gastusin bilang isang NAMFREL chairman. At naging masigasig naman at habang time na dapat na iukol mo hanggang hating gabi ay ginagawa mo upang masunod ang tungkulin mo bilang isang NAMFREL. Dumating nga yung time na nagkaroon ng mga pagkakataon na ang buhay ko ay halos mawala. Nang ako'y yung mga precinct areas ay merong mga taong humamon sa akin na pinaano kong magbari lang kami. Wala naman akong baril. Government, hinamon ko, pumayag naman ako. Sige, bumaba ka dito. At dito tayo magbarilan. Dumating yung time na gano'n. Mabuti naman at hindi bumaba. Kung hindi, nawala na. At dumating din yung sandali na mabigat na nangyari ay nung merong nag-tip sa akin na meron daw mga balota na still unused o hindi pa nagagamit na napunta sa ibang area. Yung balota na walong, I don't know kung kahol o ano, ay napunta yung mga balota na yon sa Tanay, sa military. Napunta sa military ng lugar ng mga military. Oo. So, walang nasa isip ko kundi baka gagamitin yon para mag-iba ang takbo ng botohan. Oo. Maaring kaya doon dinala yung mga balota ay para doon gawin at mga tigaroon doon ang magpipill up ng balota para doon sa Taguig. Ganon. Nung nalaman ko yun, ay sinugod ko kaagad ang COMELEC sa Taguig. At inano ko kaagad, pina-inventaryo ko. Nung nalaman ko talagang wala, ay pinilit ko malaman kung saan doon. At nalaman ko naman na yung mga balota na yon ay nasa Tanay. Naibalik naman at hindi nagamit. Pero ang nangyari naman, nung ako'y pauwi, isang beses na galing sa pag-ano sa mga yung pagpulong sa ibang lugar, sinalubong ako ng isang jeep ng military at babanggain yung sasakyan ko. Buti naman at nailag ko, ako'y nahulog na lamang sa area. Oo, nawala ako sa karsada. Nang tigilan ako ng mga military, nakita may mga ibang tao, umalis naman. Wala namang nangyari sa akin, tsaka mga kasama ko. So yun lang ng, ang kabigatan lamang ay ang budget mo ay na kailangan ay may itulong mo sa NAMFREL. Sapagkat yung pagpunta sa mga areas at pagpupulong, kahit papaano ay kung maaari ay mabigyan mo ng konti man lamang matatanggap nila, katulad ng pagkain o katulad ng inumin. Ganyan. Oo. Kaya karoon din ang bahagi ng aking pondo ang gastos sa NAMFREL. Yun lang naman. At ang pamilya ko naman, lahat ng 6 na anak ko ay naging kasama ko ng paglilingkod sa NAMFREL. Narito na ngayon ang isang anak kong bunso na humalili ngayon sa akin, naging chairman din ng yung bunso kong anak. Yun lamang.
Yes.
Maraming salamat po for your years of selfless service. I'd like to call on a person whom we all look up to, a brilliant lawyer of unquestionable integrity, former chairman of NAMFREL and former chairman of the Commission on Elections, Attorney Christian Monson. Please, sir.
I hope you don't mind. I'm 87 years old, so I have to write what I have to talk about. I cannot think of a better man to head NAMFREL today than Lito Aberia. He's prepared for everything. 2 weeks ago, the administration removed EDSA from the list of holidays that celebrates the People Power revolt that brought down a dictatorship through peaceful democratic means. Indeed, EDSA was heroic and became a model for other countries. But the trigger of EDSA was the February 1986 snap elections, about 2 weeks before, which was marked by the heroism of 500,000 NAMFREL volunteers who undertook a task they did not have to assume, to protect the ballot in the face of violence and cheating. They had no other agenda but the country, for which they put their lives on the line. 9 of our volunteers died in the dark of the night, all of them from the poor. Most of them, NAMFREL volunteers, have passed into history, largely unsung, but content in their anonymity because they knew in their hearts that they did our country proud. How can the administration belittle all these heroes that brought an international TV audience to tears by the nobility of their purpose? In a book entitled Bantay ng Bayan, Stories of the NAMFREL Crusade, from 1984 to 1986, written by Kaa Byington, you probably have read the book, who died a couple of years ago, still in love with the Philippines. And this is what she wrote. All NAMFREL is people, and you'd have to talk to 500,000 of them to get it down. I have never enjoyed doing anything as much as I enjoyed researching this book. As I went over the interview transcripts, I found myself laughing and remembering the people I was lucky enough to meet and their perils and triumphs. They were ordinary folk in ordinary life who transcended themselves to uplift a nation. Theirs is a story that goes beyond national boundaries, a story for all humanity. Maybe only a foreigner, an American even, could write it. That's from the book. But after that historic moment of solidarity at EDSA and the peaceful transfer of power through elections in 1992, we folded our banners, we put away the T-shirts with the imaginative slogans that brought humor to the times, and we went back to our private lives and our narrow purposes. And as we went our separate ways with our separate causes, we lost something of the dream of a nation and the significance of our interconnected lives. Today we are on a slippery slope on authoritarianism under a dynastic political system with even deeper roots than at the time of EDSA. In fact, we face a coalition of dynasties of 4 presidents, Estrada, Arroyo, Duterte, and Marcos. Our system of checks and balances is weakening, the rule of law is on a decline, and the index of corruption is increasing. We have a Supreme Court that deferred to Duterte on the issue of the sufficiency of the factual basis for proclaiming martial law and on his personal vendettas against Senator De Lima and Chief Justice Sereno, on the red tagging and detention of suspects under the anti-terrorism law. And then there is the impunity of the extrajudicial killings and the pork barrel mentioned already by the bishops. I want to tell you there was a study in January this year by Cambridge University that studied the voting record of justices of the Supreme Court. 86 justices and 7 what they call mega cases. And the average voting of the justices were in favor of the government or the appointing power, about 65%. But the voting record of the Duterte appointees was 90%. And 13 of the 15 justices in our Supreme Court today were appointed by Duterte. We also have a new administration that wants to revise our history and the curriculum of our youth at school for self-serving purposes. Our generation succeeded in restoring democracy, but it needs to work better because it's not been meaningful to the poor, and we failed in the promise of a new social order. These are the challenges that you, the youth, among our assembly today, are facing because survey showed that the people want all this to be fulfilled, but only through peaceful democratic means. And that means free, fair, and credible elections to start with, as opposed to a revolutionary government, a military coup, a provisional government with an indefinite tenure, or a new authoritarian constitution. And that means that NAMFREL will once again be called to the front lines to safeguard the ballot and the correct results, and to persevere in a non-partisan manner, which is difficult to do. But to be independent is the source of the legitimacy of NAMFREL. Whether in a plebiscite or in national elections, after elections, that are free, fair, and credible, until there's a new generation of leaders who know how it is to be poor. Only then can we have real change. Are we up to the task? I believe so. If we agree on these ends and are willing to pay the price for it, are we willing to make sacrifices for love of country and love for the poor? Because we are told that sacrifice is the currency of love. And we should ask ourselves, as did 500,000 NAMFREL volunteers in 1986, we should ask ourselves the question, is the Filipino worth dying for? On that note, may I close with a reminder of the Lord that whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do it to me. And to paraphrase Albert Camus, when he received the Nobel Peace Prize, we must put ourselves at the service, not of those who make history, but of those who suffer it. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Monsod, for those words of wisdom. We shall all remember, sacrifice is the currency of love. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of Bishop Antonio Tobias. Following that words of wisdom of Attorney Monsod, we'd like to hear from a firebrand of NAMFREL, a former Secretary General of NAMFREL, and also former chairman of the Asian Network for Free Elections. May I call on Mr. Damaso Magboal. Mr. Dan.
Let me assure you, I did not ask to speak in this program. Josefa came to see me during Mass and said, "Sir, you will be asked to talk a few minutes," she said. Okay, fine. I was not exactly recruited at NAMFREL. I was donated. The only reason they donated me to NAMFREL was at our office, I was a troublemaker. So the more days I was out of the office, the better the peace in the office. Well, of course, I love to think that they did a very good job as an NAMFREL volunteer. My first assignment, that is in '84, was Bicol. And I was advised the best way to organize dummy is go see a bishop. They said, oh, did you apologize to Monsignor Tobias? No? I went to see a bishop, and he gave me a dressing down. Because at that time, we had a group that was for boycott, and there was a group that was for participation, and I went to a bishop who was against participating in the elections. I did not see any bishop or priest anymore after that. And if you have read the book that was referred to by Miss Munsod, it devoted a page about my place being called. That's chapter 8, I think, of the book. Nothing is mentioned about priests and bishops there because I did not go to see any one of them. But anyway, 3 things I learned. Mr. Concepcion said, and I still remember when he said, I learned from NAMFREL, he said, is that the Filipino is still for democracy. And he is willing to sacrifice for it. NAMFREL volunteers are precisely that. They are for democracy, and they're willing to sacrifice for it. I will not say much, but let me just tell you an experience I had. A moving story at NAMFREL. I was assigned to man the desk in 1984 where they would phone in noon or send by telex results. So, I received the final results of Romblon from Dr. Montana, the chairman. And then, of course, after you receive that, you pass it on to Gaslagman, who will tabulate it. He gave the final tally, and then he said, all NAMFREL volunteers safely home. Inconvenienced, but happy to serve. It is with this thought that we will see you again in the next elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. We didn't know that you were voluntold, not a volunteer. The last of our speakers is one of our former National Council members. May I call on Mrs. Patricia Season.
Thank you. After hearing Christian say that we are not going to take the revisionism sitting down, I feel very, very happy about that, because had you not mentioned it, I was going to rabble-rouse. Because NAMFREL is all about fighting for democracy and the freedom of our people. And how old was I when I joined NAMFREL? 1984. And our first I always work with my husband, or he says he works for me. And that's why Brother Rolly Dizon and Sister Luz would say, buy one, take one. I miss them. I miss them. I miss Ting, I miss Joe. I miss so many people. And I will feel sad when I think about how we were all together. But I am also very happy and very proud that I belong to this wonderful, honorable, most respectable organization that the Philippines has ever set up and put up. I started with Quezon City, and we brought the house down because they turned off the lights and they wanted to cheat on the counting of the votes, and they were not able to do that. After that, It was went to Muntinlupa, and we were assigned there as chair couple, and we were able to organize 2,000 volunteers. And within the next day, or 2 days, we were able to bring the votes to Batasan and had them counted, where Cory won by 6,500 votes. And that was after we were shut up in some of the schools. They were shooting at our volunteers. Thankfully, nobody died. And then, but in 1984, a few of us, I think it was Bol, Dominguez, and Ting Ting and I, we went to Marawi, and we dared to organize NAMFREL in Marawi, and we visited. Louis did not know I went to Marawi. He told me, "You don't go to Marawi." I said, "Yes." Told him lie. I said, "I'm going to make a mental reservation." What a broad mental reservation that was. He was so angry because I went. And then from there, we visited Nene Pimentel because he was under house arrest. And then in 1986, before the elections, Ting Ting and I again went to Antique with Evelio Javier, okay? And in that plane, we were going to organize NAMFREL, and we did. With the nuns, the priests, we went to Antique. And because it was Evelio who said, "Louis, I'll borrow your wife." "Why?" "I'll bring her to Antique." "Is it safe?" "Oh yeah, it's going to be safe." Little did he know that Pacificador would ride with us in the airplane. And Ting Ting passed by and knew it was Pacificador, so he stuck out his hand, greeted her, and she, like a lady, gave her hand. But I didn't. So I told Ting Ting, "That guy is bad, he's the devil." And sure enough, he killed our hero, Evelio. So, you know, to join NAMFREL, you go to see the world also. My husband and I went to Washington, D.C., and then we were invited to go to Chile. Okay, Chile, you sleep there in your hotel room, you can't lock it. So what did Patricia do? I put a chair under the door, as if, you know. That was the time of Pinochet. And the bishops invited us to give a talk. We talked to the CBCP of Chile, and they said, "Can you stay here for 3 months?" That was after NAMFREL. "Can you stay here for 3 months?" Unfortunately, we said, "Your Graces, we can't. We're needed there." But, you know, for me, NAMFREL is like a dream come true, because if you have any love for your country, this is where you want to prove your love for your country. Those are really happy times for us. Happy and sad sometimes when we would meet up with our enemies and we'd have a difficult time, but most of it was really a grand time, loving your country, serving your country. So, you know, this is supposed to be short, and I'm going to make it short. If the time comes that we are going to be asked again, because we are not going to take sitting down this big lie that EDSA never happened, that means you and I never happened. Are we going to take this lying down? I'm not rubber-rousing. I'm just saying the Filipino is worth dying for. The Filipino has proven to the world, hey, we started people power. That people power is NAMFREL. Don't let anybody tell you it's anything else. It was all those, how many hundreds of thousands of volunteers who gave their lives, their treasure, their talent, their time. And then it ended sort of in 1986 in EDSA, where we proved to the world that we are a great people. We are an honorable people. We are a heroic people. So I thank God that He put me in NAMFREL at that time of my life. And you know, it's my happiest part of my biodata. I put all my NAMFREL work there. Because to me, it really means so much. And it meant so much, it still does mean so much, to have worked shoulder to shoulder. Kabisig ko lahat yung mga Pinoy na naglahad ng kanilang buhay, ng lahat ng kanilang pagmamahal para sa bayan. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang NAMFREL.
Thank you, Mrs. Sison. This a model of gentility and bravery, hindi ho rabble-rousing. Now for our traditional NAMFREL ritual, I'd like to call Eric Alvia, the Secretary General of NAMFREL.
Thank you, Salma. This is customary, and this has been a tradition for us whenever we convene or we meet each other through our get-togethers. And most especially, we usually do this light a candle ceremony whenever we embark on an election, and we prepare and we send off our volunteers. Right now, it's just a few days before the barangay and SK elections again. In the past, we haven't given any compulsory assignment to monitor the barangay elections, but we know that times have changed, and if we want to really create an impact on democracy and governance, then you start with the smallest unit of political unit, which is the barangay. So now we're focusing right now on monitoring, especially the areas of concerns and hotspot, and we will start our send-off for our volunteers, especially in the provinces, because right now this event is being live streamed also in the provinces and also through our Facebook and YouTube accounts. So while we go through our ceremony, they would also simultaneously do their own in their respective provinces. Okay, let's start first with the NAMFREL Light a Candle ceremony. The Light a Candle ceremony is a sacred rite that is held before and after NAMFREL chapters embark on their tasks like the elections. It affirms the solidarity of the members to the cause of NAMFREL. The Light a Candle ceremony is usually preceded by a mass or a religious service. To start and lead the NAMFREL Light a Candle ceremony is our chairman, Lito Averia.
Okay. Today, more than ever, we need God's light to guide us during these crucial moments. It is not easy to make the right decision because the stakes are high. It is easier to falter because evil is in the guise of good. Let us therefore be light to one another so that the path to righteousness may be clear and straight. As we light our candles today, let us remember that each of us has something to share to make both the present and the future more human. Let us be one so that together we may give witness to the true light, our loving God. May we invite you to light your candles. Malis na. May the candle we light symbolize our ardent and vigilant desire to dispel the darkness of error and deceit, and to let truth and charity shine in and through our nation. Touch our minds that we may think not only of the common good and less of ourselves. Touch our hearts so that our love may embrace ever our adversaries, and that our desire for reconciliation may be genuine and sincere. Guide us through this phase of our history, because we know it is also the opportunity for growth and purification. Acknowledging that we all have the light within us and that we are truly brothers and sisters, let us sing with one voice the prayer of Saint Francis.
I hereby commit to uphold,
safeguard the integrity of the electoral process and of the ballot, and to strengthen citizens' participation in electoral process in order to achieve free, honest, and meaningful elections without fear or favor, in a non-partisan manner. I further commit to remain strong and constant in my vigilance to protect
So, Eric?
So thank you very much for everyone, and it's nice to see you again. Um, let's keep in mind also those of us who are volunteers and leaders of NAMFREL who wanted as much as possible to be here but are failed, no, to do so. Uh, in the next few months of NAMFREL, you'll be seeing a transitioning of what we do not only for monitoring and observing elections, but we will also transition ourselves and our chapters into units, no, and pockets of good governance in our respective communities. No? With that, no, we thank everyone. We thank our sponsors. We thank our donors, no, and our supporters for the past years, and we haven't been able to do our work without them. No? So thank you very much for our corporate sponsors, our usual donors, volunteers, our partners, no, current partners right now. So thank you very much for everyone. And before we end, we've prepared a modest meal, no, for us and some get-together. And probably those, there's a request to have a picture, no,
Yeah.
for everyone here in front.
Yeah, may we ask everybody to come in front to have a NAMFREL family picture. Dito na po sa unahan. Let's take a photo. Nasaan yung photographer natin? Please guide us kung saan kami haharap. Punta na po dito sa harap. Rafi, baka kailangan natin ng... Rafi? Some chairs? Baka kailangan natin ng upuan? We'd also like to acknowledge some of the organizations who are also with us today. Nandito po ang PPCRV. Nandito rin po ang Project Participate. Nakita namin kanina, nandito si Ma'am Jovi. Of course, ang ating Kamanava, ang ating Thessalonian singers. Thank you. Of course, lahat ng ating mga NAMFREL chapters na nandito, maraming salamat po. We'd also like to thank yung mga kasama natin na nasa Zoom. Meron tayong mga kasama, kasabay na ginagawa ito ng NAMFREL chapters from different parts of the Philippines. Punta na po tayo dito sa harap para sa ating picture taking.
thoughts